So in the past, you've condemned people like Roy Moore and Steve King because their actions outweighed the fact that they would govern conservatively. But for President Trump, you actually take a little bit of a different policy, condemning him when he does something bad, but also praising him when he does things that you like. President Trump has said things like there were fine people on both sides in Charlottesville. He said that a judge couldn't do his job because of his Mexican heritage, which is arguably just as bad as Steve King. He's also been accused of at least 19 women of sexual harassment and assault, which is arguably just as bad as Roy Moore. So my question is, why are they different? And can you in good conscience vote for that kind of man in 2020? I know you haven't decided yet.
Yeah. No, this is an excellent question. So let me explain my position on Trump, and I'll explain my position on people like Roy Moore and Steve King. So my position on Roy Moore is that I wasn't going to vote for him because I couldn't vote for him, number one, but I wasn't going to vote for him even if I lived in Alabama because he would have been a disgrace to the Senate, and I could not in good conscience have an accused child molester sitting as a senator in the state of Alabama. Right? My view on Steve King is that he should be primaried by a member of the Republican Party and then removed for the kind of comments that he made the other day. When it comes to President Trump, I didn't vote for him in 2016, as you know. I came out against him in the primary, I came out against him in the general. And then once he's president, the question becomes sort of threefold. And here's the analysis that I use. The analysis that I use for Trump is, let me go back to the original rationale for not voting for Trump in the first place. So the reason I didn't vote for Trump in the first place is because I feared the damage that he was going to do to the Republican Party in the future by poisoning it to a lot of people who are young, which frankly is happening statistically. And then I think there was a lot of concern that President Trump was also going to poison sort of what the Republican Party was all about. They would start saying things were okay that were not okay. And then I was afraid of his policy positions. The problem in a presidential election is that the alternatives exist, right? So because the alternatives exist, my view was that there would be a short-term there'd be a short-term loss for conservatism if Hillary Clinton were to have been president of the United States. Maybe it would have been outweighed by the long-term gain to conservatism if President Trump had not committed all this damage. Now he's the president of the United States, the math changes. He's already done virtually all the damage I thought that he was going to do, and that is not changing anymore. So now we live in this reality, and the reality is now the reality. So the question becomes, am I supposed to sit by in 2020 after the damage has been done because he's going to do additional damage? Now, I don't think he's going to do additional damage because I'm not sure what you do after the house is burned down, right? The house has been burned down. Now, on policy, he's been a lot better than I thought he would be, right? And I've said that too. You know, so on that side, but he is what he is. So now I have to evaluate he is what he is against, and nothing has changed. So if a new piece of information were to drop that would change my opinion of President Trump, then it would change my opinion of President Trump. So my consideration right now is, yes, he has been accused of all these things. He has said all these terrible things. All of that is true. And I condemned him when he did it. I didn't vote for him in 2016 because of it. Now is anything new coming out that's going to drop? If something new drops, then maybe I'll consider not voting for him in 2020. If nothing new drops, if there's no new information, then all I'm left with is the status quo, which is there is no other candidate out there that is representing my viewpoints in any way. No one's going to run a primary against him and win, right? He's going to win whatever primary he runs. And so now it becomes sort of the position that people who were castigating me in 2016 were castigating me about. They're basically saying it's a lesser of two evils choice. You got to make a lesser of two evils choice. And I think that's true. I don't think that's true of Steve King, where he can be primaried, replaced by a Republican. And I don't think that it was true of Roy Moore, where I did not actively advocate for people to vote for the Democrat. I actively advocated for people to sit it out. I don't think that actively advocating for people to sit it out in 2020 is quite the same thing as it was already been done in whatever way it's been done.